What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm coming at you with another episode of Brewing with. And what are we brewing with tonight? Well, I thought we would have a in-depth look at the Patchwork Automaton. I've done two different versions, a mono red one and a Boros one, and I want to get to the bottom of this thing. Like, there's clearly many different decks that this card can fit into because it's an artifact, therefore colorless. I've already played it in many different decks, and these are the last two that I didn't quite flesh out entirely, and yeah. So I thought it would be just a good idea, especially because I've had one of the worst days on the arena of my life. I find it so funny, like the ups and downs of this game. Yesterday I was all smiles and talking about how amazing of a day I'd had, and just fantastic wins and amazing opponents. Today I was at, you know, when you're like at Diamond 1 and you're one game away from Mythic. I was there 6 different times today. And right now I'm sitting on Diamond 3. At one point I lost 9 games in a row. It's just one of those things where, like, no matter what you do, there's like zero to do with my skill. Only lands. Like, entire hands filled with lands. Or like, and then you mulligan and to no lands. And then you mulligan... just those things with there's just nothing you can do. It's you know, variance, luck, you call it what you want, but today there was just no getting into Mythic for me. So I've learned that when that happens, it's time to take a deep breath, step away from the keyboard before you smash the thing. And you know, I went and had a little bit of a nap, came back, now I'm feeling refreshed, and the plan was just to play a little bit of jank on the unranked ladder, and that's usually my remedy for days like that. So without further ado, let's jump into today's brews. First of all, I think we're going to look at the mono red one, which is definitely a aggro deck, and I'll do the usual, take it from the top, describe the deck from left to right, kind of go through the various playlines and interactions, why it is that I've picked the cards to be in the specific spot, and then you know, we'll jump into some gameplay footage, hopefully get to illustrate as many of those playlines and interactions as possible for you guys, so you can get an idea of how the deck works, and then we'll jump back in at the end with my final thoughts, you know, potential modifications, deck review, that sort of thing. So this one, the mono red variant, starts off with a full playset of Kumano faces Kakkazan. It deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control when it first enters the battlefield. I've said this before, I'll say it again, and I've had it happen before, and I hope it'll happen again. If the opponents just played their Lolth, and they -2, or -3, sorry, and it's now left with 1 loyalty, and they've got the little spiders there, you can kill Lolth just by casting Kumano, which is quite fun. The second chapter says that whenever you cast your next creature spell this turn, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So quite nice to follow up on turn 2 straight away with the Patchwork, and you know, you get a 2/2 for 2 with Ward 2. That's freaking amazing, and usually you can then just start following it up with because what Patchwork Automaton says, if you haven't seen this card yet, holy moly, what a sweet uncommon. It's got Ward 2, so it's quite difficult for the opponent to remove if you get it down on turn 2, and by the time they sort of get around to figuring out how they're going to get around, you know, through the ward, things already gotten huge, and you've also deployed other threats, so you kind of put the opponent in a situation where they have to focus everything on the automaton. Meanwhile, the rest of the stuff you've played keeps attacking. It's fantastic. But in this deck, I've gone for sort of a light splash of artifacts. It's more your, like, just good mono red cards, you know, and a lot of very hasty threats. So haste on the Kumano when it comes back on the backside. Hasty Reckless Stormseeker, and Hasty Thundering Raiju, but there's only the Reinforced Ronin and the Ogre Head Helm as artifacts. So the ways that we're going to be reliably every turn growing our Patchwork Automaton. Most of that is going to be done by the Reinforced Ronin. It's another great little uncommon one drop. Red got some real sweet ones this time around in Neon Dynasty, because this is an artifact creature, human samurai. So you can cast it for 1 mana, it'll grow your Patchwork Automaton, you can get in for 2 damage, and then at the beginning of your end step, it returns to your hand. So you can just reliably, consistently, every turn, play a cheap artifact on top of your automaton and keep growing it. Until perhaps at some point, maybe the opponent puts up too much of a, big blockers, you can stop, you can't get through for damage with your Ronin anymore. No problem. It's in your hand. You can channel it for 2 and you get to draw a card. So nice little bit of card advantage as well. Then we've got a full playset of the Bloodthirsty Adversary, which is going to help us, get in for damage on turn 2. You can just play it as a 2-drop for 2 with haste, which is great. Or, I say this about all the adversaries. They're basically like a 2-drop and a 5-drop. Because, if this then comes down on turn 5, you can pay 3 mana, an additional 2 colorless and a red, and you can recast one of your instants and sorceries from the graveyard for free. And we've got some of those. We've gone with Kami's Flare and Seismic Wave as our removal spells of choice. Kami's Flare, fantastic, giving mono-red aggro, especially these kind of low to the ground, cheap decks like this. A way to have that additional little bit of reach that sometimes mono-red needs. And because if you have a modified creature on the battlefield when you cast it, it deals an additional 2 damage to the opponent's face on top of the 3 damage that it's already dealing to the either creature or planeswalker, which I really, really like. And Seismic Wave, probably really good against mono white. I wanted to test this card out. I had it played against me when I'm playing mono white, and it's kind of like a Cinderclassing but a little bit better, or kind of like a Crush the Weak but a little bit worse. I don't know. I just wanted to give it a try. It deals 2 damage to any target. So you say there's a creature that has like 3 toughness, and then a bunch of the other ones have 1 toughness. In this typically happens against mono white. Then you can target the one that's got the 3 toughness, and then it does 1 damage to each non-artifact creature target opponent controls as well. Just remember that non-artifact clause there, because sometimes you cast it and make a mistake. You're wondering why the things didn't die. That's because there's a lot of these artifact creatures in the format. And again, we can recast these from the yard with the Bloodthirsty Adversary. Don't forget that you can also, it says 2 damage to any target, so you can also just go face the 2 and 1 to the creatures. Sometimes the opponent's just got those like elite spellbinders and they're coming through in the air. Off they go. Then we've got a full playset of the Ogrehead Helm for some additional card advantage, and it's the only other artifact that's going to be, growing the patchwork if it enters the battlefield. Ogrehead Helm, sort of a little bit underplayed, perhaps. Maybe, probably, because the reconfigure is 3 instead of 2. A lot of the good reconfigure cards that I like have like 2 cost or 1 to reconfigure, which makes them, easy to equip and unequip and that sort of stuff. This one is 3, but it does give the equipped creature +2/+2, and then whenever it or the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. Just be aware of this. It'll bring up the window where not the window, but the option to do so in game. And if you're just like being distracted, you click yes, and you've got your full hand of cards. Those cards are gonzo, because it'll discard your whole hand, and then you draw 3 cards. So of course this is only good when you don't have a hand to discard. Then you just sacrifice the Ogrehead Helm, and you get 3 cards in your hand, which is fantastic. So that's kind of the main reason why I've gone with the Ogrehead Helm. It's just a nice little +2/+2 buff, which is nothing to scoff at, and then potentially drawing you 3 cards when your hand is empty and restocking, which is something mono red desperately needs. I've already described the Patchwork Automaton, sort of the main card that we're brewing with today, and fantastic, fantastic, aggressive little artifact there, and I'm sure this is gonna keep showing up for the rest of the year, because the sets that are coming up are all gonna be very much well, I don't know so much about Streets of New Capenna, but for sure the Brothers War and my goodness. Anyway, the two sets after that, if history is anything to go on, will be heavily artifact based, so I think this is just going to get better and better as the year progresses. Then we've got a full playset of the Reckless Stormseeker, which is a fantastic little hasty boy, and at the beginning of combat you can put a +1/+0 or a +2/0 if it's either day or night. The +2/0 of course at nighttime, and at nighttime you also get Trample, which is very, very nice to give you know, Trample in a deck that doesn't have any other Trample. It's actually very important, and I've kind of found a better solution for that in the Boros deck, which we'll be looking at after this. But obviously just a great little 3-drop that's going to help us continue to apply pressure. I've touched upon the Seismic Wave, and that brings us to, of course, the top end, Thundering Raiju. It's just such a nice card with the whole modified theme. We're going to be having potentially a modified Bloodthirsty Adversary. You know, whatever gets played after Kumano on the second chapter will end up being modified. We can be reconfiguring the Ogrehead Helm onto things, which is effectively modifying them. Of course, the Patchwork will definitely be modified by the time Thundering Raiju gets into play. So, you know, you can just remember to spread those counters where they're necessary so that you get maximum damage when you swing in. The only times I put the very first time Thundering Raiju gets played, and I attack with it straight away because it's got haste, I'll only put the +1/+1 counter that it does whenever it attacks onto it himself if there is a bigger creature on the board that I'm worried will block and trade with the Thundering Raiju. If there's nothing in the way, rather put those counters on the creatures that you have that don't have counters, because it deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of modified creatures you control other than Thundering Raiju. But then once, you know, all your other creatures already are modified, you might as well start putting those +1/+1 counters on it, so, you know, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can, you know, continue to attack. And this needs to sit on the battlefield for like maybe 2, maximum 3 turns, and the opponent's usually gonzo. And that's the deck. The mana base is very, very simple. We've just got a couple of dens, a couple of crucibles, and I've gone for 2 crawling barrens, which of course modifies itself whenever you put you know, when you pay 4, you can put +1/+1 counters on it, so then it's just another modified threat, which is going to help with the Thundering Raiju and that sort of stuff. And the rest are just some basics. Alright, so that's brew number 1. Let's jump into some games. So far in testing, it's been so much fun. Like, it's just kind of exactly what I needed to deal with today's terrible, terrible luck. Hopefully this will dispel all such luck, and tomorrow I'll be able to finally get into Mythic. Flynn, my boy. Yeah, okay. No 1-drops though. No Automaton. I might actually just mulligan this one. Okay. We need something to come down. Still no Automaton. It's probably mono white. Why don't you guys just stick to the rank queue? Thank you very much. Okay, no, it's clerics. Okay, so unfortunately nothing to play on top of the Kumano, because this is just going to go back to our hands, but that's okay. Let's get down another one. Come on, Patchwork. Opponent's on 15. Yeah, definitely life gain. Yay! I love it when the deck listens. This is just perfect now. This is kind of just lining up exactly. If we just get our 4th land, we've basically won next turn. A dunk, instantly modified. Here comes the Ronin. Grows the Patchwork, swing for 4. Boom, boom. Down to 11. Now we've got some sweet removal for whatever he plays next. I wonder what this could be. I mean, Doomscar? Really? Possible. Or it might be the Starnheim. You know, the angel token maker. Man, if it's Doomscar, I'll be so bummed. Although... we'll still get the etchings. Pulls a card. Give me that land, baby. Give me the land. Here comes Raiju. Okay, I'm putting the counters where there aren't any, so I get maximum damage. And that's game. Okay, now he gains 3 life. I think he goes down to 1, 2. That's a Doomscar. Urgh. Anyway, we've got the Ronin. We've got the Crawling Barrens. It is a Doomscar. It's still game. Don't channel it. Skadoosh. Sorry, clerics. A little slow, perhaps. Not a single creature. Trying to do some Abzan stuff there for sure. Probably get about 3 games in with each brew. Typical episode of brewing with. Sometimes I go for 3 decks, but tonight I kind of just settled on these 2. I had an Azorius one, but it was just not clicking. I'm loving Boros right now. It's just in such a good place. Finally. How do you pronounce that? Eddie J. Schneider. No, there. No, Eddie J. Schneider. Nice. So we can go Kumano into adversary. We've got a Seismic Wave lined up for the second adversary. On turn 5, if necessary. It's not a bad hand at all. That's a good blocker. Unfortunately. Got the land for our Raiju though, which is quite nice. We'll probably discard it though. It's a pity. What's it gonna be? Boah. That's what I thought. Pity. We'll waste one of the chapter 2s probably, unless we get another 2-drop. That'll just be amazing. I'd also be happy with something like a Reckless Stormseeker or another Raiju, because we do have the mana for it. Discard. Okay. Keeps swinging. Oh, there was the Raiju. What a pity. That'll get 2 counters. And this is going to get exiled. I don't think he read the Kumano. So sorry, no learning for you. Come on, give me that land. ADJ Schneider 11. It's going to be another... Does he have a sweeper? Why would you attack, dude? 3. That's quite punishing, but still no land. We're still swinging in for quite a bit there. Opponent goes down to 1. Come on, give me the land. All we need to do is attack next turn, and we've got him. Land, 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 land. Yes! We got him. Before you can even block, he'll already be dead. Ew! Someone attempting some kind of mono black aggro type brew there by the looks of things. Keep attempting, because it's a good brew, I promise you. Still one of my best ones from the previous season. If you guys haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's on the channel, not too many videos back. Mono black aggro, so much fun. So far, so very good. Don't know if it's ladder ready, especially not in diamond, but definitely you know, free to play guys, people who are trying to just like rank up a little bit lower, like in the gold to platinum. I would recommend you give this a whirl. And I'll mention a couple of potential upgrades that you could do at the end. I'll keep it. I'll keep it. Double dens. Embarrassing bad. Oh, not life gain again. It's like so much of this in the unranked ladder. Here comes Voice of the Blessed. No? Okay. Nice. Could be foretold there. Okay. Interesting. Sure, man. We just got our land for the Thundering Raiju. Get in for 5. Don't attack, please. I mean, you could. That'll be fine with me, but... That's what I thought. I think we just go for the Seismic Wave. 2 to the opponent's face. Oh no, 2 damage to any target and 1 damage to each. Why did it have 2 targets there? I don't entirely understand why that just happened. You won't find me complaining. It's just going to be a 1-1. If we get a 5th land, we can maybe Seismic Wave again. No. Let's go with the Raiju. Ew. It's so quick and fun, you guys. I honestly think you should give this one a try. But that's going to be it as far as the mono-red version. I think we've done a very good job of illustrating everything that can happen. The only card we didn't draw there at all the entire time was the Ogre Head Helm. But you just have to take my word for it. It's definitely worth having in that slot. But we had the the Automaton in the first game there doing its thing. Definitely a fun little aggro red brew. Next up, Boros Cursed Automaton. Let's jump into tonight's second brew. This one is trying to do things a little different, okay? I've already decided right now that I'm going to replace the Iron Apprentice. Just from playing that last game, I'm going to put in Kumano. It's too good. The little apprentice guy I usually have when I'm running the Surge. What's it called? Voltage Surge. That new 1 mana instant that you need to sacrifice a creature to... an artifact to do 4 damage. And then you use the Iron Apprentice as sack fodder. But I've gone with Flame Discharge as my removal spell. So maybe the Kumano is the better choice. And I'll explain why. So... again, Kumano, don't need to re-describe this card. Again, Reinforced Ronin, helping us with the consistent growth of the Automaton. This time, as far as removal, I've gone with Flame Discharge over the Kami's Flare because of its scalability. I like that it can, Kami's Flare, you top out at 3. If there's any creature with 4 toughness, suddenly you're just like, uh-oh. Whereas with Flame Discharge, as long as you have enough mana, you can basically get rid of anything. And I like the fact that if you've got a modified creature on the battlefield, that it's effectively reducing that cost by 2. And you can even just do 2 damage for X is 0 as long as you've got a modified creature in play, which is, you guys have seen this in all of my modified decks. It's becoming the removal spell of choice for my modified brews. So 3 copies of Flame Discharge. Then... some new spice. We've got 2 copies of Lion Sash. Kind of like Scavenging Ooze in a way. The reason why I think it hasn't seen as much play as I thought it would when we were in spoiler season for Kamigawa is the fact that it comes into play as a 1/1, so it's really easy to get rid of. But it's got that low reconfigure cost, which I keep referring to, of 2, so quite easy to put it around onto creatures, and that helps it kind of survive sweepers, that sort of stuff. And giving this deck a little bit of graveyard hate is fantastic. So you can just pay 1 white mana and you exile a target card from a graveyard. So you can exile any card, which is also great because there's loads of recursion, people trying to recast instants and sorceries with invoke calamities. There's so many things going on with the graveyard at the moment that's actually really, really handy tool in our toolbox. And then if the exiled thing is a permanent, then you put a +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash. And then you can reconfigure it and it'll end up giving +1/+1 to the equipped creature for each +1/+1 counter that's on it. So not only will it be modified itself if you've done that, but it'll also modify whatever you're putting it onto because it's an equipment. So fantastic little 2-drop there that I'm testing out in this brew. Then we've got 3 copies of Michiko's Reign of Truth, card that has seen a lot of play. You guys have seen this almost every single day that you're playing on the ladder, but it's seeing, it's found its home in Naya Runes, Selesnya Enchantments. It's, that terrible feeling you get when they've got the dream, what's it called, the Weaver of Destiny or something, the green guy. Oop. Weaver of Harmony, not Destiny. And then they copy the trigger on the Michiko and they put both of the it like doubles up the effect of the chapters 1 and 2 on one of their trampling, life-gaining freaking things, and you're just like, concede. In this deck, it's, because most people think it's only to do with enchantments. You didn't read the thing properly, but it's artifacts or enchantments. So this fits really well in an artifacts deck as well, which this one is. And we've got, and this is the reason why I've now decided to go for Kumano over the Iron Apprentice that we had. This is an enchantment, and we've also got Curse of Hospitality, which we'll get to in a moment, which is an enchantment, and we've also got sometimes a Showdown of the Skalds that's on the board. So there are, both artifacts and enchantments in the deck. So really, really sweet addition. 3 copies of Michiko's Reign of Truth, just to make our creatures extra special big, potentially ending us the game. Especially considering the fact that Curse of Hospitality gives our attacking creatures trample. This is the main sort of, you might have guessed from the name of the deck, this is kind of the main new tech in this one. I was trying to find a way to give our guys trample, and Curse of Hospitality is helping us out with that. The second reason why I wanted to give everything trample is because of Lizard Blades. Double strike plus trample, it's kind of like a poor man's Embercleave. Lizard Blades, another one of these 2 mana artifact equipment creature things. This time it's a lizard, and again with a very cheap reconfigure cost, and the equipped creature has double strike, and then it has double strike as well. So great to play it on the second chapter of Kumano, for example, or maybe when you have already got an automaton in play and you've got 3 mana open, you play the Lizard Blades for 2, 4 mana open, you play the Lizard Blades for 2, and then you reconfigure it for 2 onto the automaton. Now it's got double strike, and that's pretty sweet. Then I've gone for 3 copies of the High-Speed Hoverbike, which is still kind of trying to decide when the best time is to play this, but it's probably not a question that can be answered. It's just depending on the board state, of course. Either you can play this because it's got flash just before the opponent's attack step, and you tap down one of his attackers that was going to potentially kill you, and that will stay tapped until his next turn, obviously. And so then the attack lanes are free for you to get in for potentially that final bit of damage. So really nice sort of defensively, or just before you're going to attack in, the opponent's got this creature that's getting in the way of your guys getting through for that final bit of damage. You just flash in the High-Speed Hoverbike, tap that creature, and get in for the final kill. The cool thing about this little guy is that it's got a very cheap crew cost of just 1. So, you can sometimes just crew it with something simple as a Reinforced Ronin that's just come down. For whatever reason you can't get through with the ground force. You can have a little bit of flying damage coming through with the High-Speed Hoverbike. Also quite nice to play it on top of... oh no, wait, it won't work. It's not a creature. Never mind, forget I said that. Patchwork Automaton, don't need to re-describe this card. It's the main card we're brewing around. Which brings us to the main card of the deck, Curse of Hospitality. If you guys haven't seen this one yet, I wouldn't be surprised. It hasn't seen as much play as I thought it would get, but I think the jank potential with this one is crazy. It's not the first time it's appeared on the channel, but the last time was quite a while back. I think it was in Alchemy even. These curses, you enchant a player. So of course you enchant the opponent, and from that point onwards, as long as Curse of Hospitality is on the board, your attacking creatures have trample. And that's just good. If it was just that, it would be good enough already, in my opinion. But it also adds another element to the deck, which is usually you don't get to do in Boros aggro decks. So whenever a creature deals damage to the enchanted player, so the opponent, that player exiles cards off the top of their library, and then until end of that turn, we get to cast those cards and spend our mana as the mana of any color to cast them. So kind of doing something that's usually more Dimir related, getting to play the opponent's cards, and that gets really frustrating sometimes, and also messing up with their top decks. Sometimes you get in with the double striking and a few creatures, you like exile maybe 3 or 4 cards off the top of the opponent's library. Completely screws up their land draws, that sort of stuff. So I really like the decision to run this in here. Initially what I had put was this bronze plate boar, but it's got a reconfigure cost of 5. So I was just like, okay, it has trample, but I'm almost never going to be able to reconfigure this onto the automaton and put the Lizard Blades on it and do the whole poor man's Embercleave that I was going for. So I was just like, another 3-drop, trample. I just typed trample and boom, Curse of Hospitality showed up, and I was like, bingo. So yeah, we've gone with 3 copies of Curse of Hospitality, and surprise, added extra bonus. It's an enchantment, so it's going to help us with Michiko's Reign of Truth. Fantastic addition to the deck. Then we've got, again, a full playset of Thundering Raiju, which I don't need to reintroduce, and then a couple of copies of Showdown of the Skalds, which, you know, with the mono red deck we were playing earlier, card advantage, a little bit of a problem. We only had really the discard ability of the channel ability of the Reinforced Ronin to draw us any cards whatsoever. In this deck, we've got a couple copies of the Showdown, which is really great to, you know, help us restock our hand and also put +1/+1 counters on things, which is exactly what we're trying to do with the deck. As far as the mana base, very similar. Just in dual colors. We've got the creature lands as usual, one of each of the legendaries, some duals and some basics. I think I might just sneak in. I'm actually thinking of just, I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we're doing this, and I just want to stick with the Crawling Barrens plan, because it's you know, the only land that is modified. Voila! Cursed Automaton. Let's jump into some games. This one also, I'm quite proud of my work. I will upload both of these to Aetherhub for you guys to copy and enjoy. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. And there's this smell of rotting seaweed. There's this light breeze off of the ocean, and it's super, super low tide. I can see fishermen out there with torches, probably hunting for crabs and octopuses. But what happens is all of the seaweed comes out, and the breeze just blows over it, and it's like this very pungent seaweed stench. I'm not going to play Kumano until I have something in hand that is going to be a good thing to play on top of it. We can just go crazy with our Ronins here for a while. Unfortunately, no second red land. Ooh. Landfall. Sure. Ouch. This could get pretty bad pretty quickly, unfortunately. I would have waited to do that until next turn, my friend. Ow. Okay. Let's use the Hoverbike and hopefully draw a land for the Raiju. Boom, boom, boom. Toski! What's going on, mate? That's such a pity, man. Kind of stuff just drives me insane. There's 24 lands in the deck. Only tops out at the, you know, mana. The highest thing we have to cast is 4, and just getting stuck on 3 is enough to drive anybody insane. I promise you. The number of times that this happens to me every day is just ridiculous. GG's. On to the next one. Slightly bricking there, unfortunately. Oh, Ali Eldrazi just went live on Twitch. Got the notification. Love the guy. If you don't know who that is, go give him a follow as well. He's a fantastic content creator. takes real balls to you know, be on camera like that in front of people all day long, and he has a pretty pronounced stutter, and it doesn't like affect anything at all. It's fantastic. Actually, I really enjoy listening to his stuff because of the stutter. Schnellenhand. Schnellenhand. Doesn't that mean like quick in German? Schnell. Schnell. Got some removal, got some Ronins. Still not Automaton at all. These guys are, it's quite a bit of, you know, punishment. It's such a nice little one drop, man. And like, you know, it's black, so he's going to want to remove those. No, sorry. No can do. They're back in my hand, safe and sound. Ready to be channeled for card advantage. Sweet, sweet little card. Okay. Go, Gary. What's going on, buddy? Taking a bit of a risk here. It's probably got some sort of maybe Infernal Grasp. But like just Infernal Grasping a 2 power thing and losing 2 damage, so you're just preventing yourself from taking 2 damage, but you're doing yourself 2 damage. It's just, that's why I don't like Infernal Grasp unless I have like some pretty heavy life gain in the deck. And you can almost never run 4 of. This is like a very good way of killing yourself very quickly. Come on, nice 2 or 3 drop, or maybe even a freaking Automaton. Okay, well this is still going to be quite nice. With the Michiko. Nice little hit here. Unless he's got removal. Ooh, it's going to be a 6/6 coming through. That's really not too bad at all, isn't it? Stuck on 3 lands again, guys. The number of times that this happens to me every single day, it just blows my freaking mind. The opponent always makes their drops. I'm sure he's also got 24 lands. For some reason, today the shuffler is just, wow. Like I said in the introduction, just had one of those. One of those days. Yeah, that really helps. Thanks, deck. Can't even attack in. Yes, you get the buff. Unfortunately. Although I can play my Hoverbike and still get in for some damage. Yeah, that's the plan. Vroom, 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 vroom. Come on, 4th land, baby. Give me that land. I know you want to. Come on, come on. Top deck city. I mean, regardless, we've got him, but could be a poison the cup. Almost certainly poison the cup. Ah, occasionally, you know, you get some luck. All right. That was a lot more convincing. Definitely Michiko doing some good work there. That 6-6 on turn whatever was nice. We have arrived at the 45-minute mark, but that's okay, because I do want to have at least 3 games with each brew. So, last match of the night. Let's end on a victory. Hopefully get the Curse of Hospitality down. But, you know, the aim of these brewing with episodes are more to get your creative juices flowing, give you some ideas. You know, there's a specific card that I think is seeing not enough play. And, you know, I want to get it out there into the... Ooh, okay. That's very nice. Kumano into Lizard Blades. Michiko. Boom. Such a great little saga, man. Two double strike. Coming through. Ooh. Do we go for the curse? Maybe not yet. Let's go with the hoverbike, yeah? That's just lovely. That's gonna be the game, my dear fellow.
You will not delay Zendikar's convalescence.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want him to scoop it up. So instead of hoverbiking, I mean, he'll probably just scoop straight away. If I hoverbike, I want to get the curse down just for one turn. Yeah, okay. It's gonna give everything trample. And that should just end the game, and we can equip the hoverbike with the portrait. Damn it! Alright guys, that's going to be it for tonight's gameplay footage. I hope you agree that these are both really fun sort of aggro brews that are worth fleshing out, kind of version 1s of both. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. How would you have built the thing differently? Have I skipped on some card that, you know, would have just been perfect for the brews that I somehow omitted? But jumping back into both of them, I think we made some great modifications. This one kind of left as is, but really, really nice. We did not get to see the Ogre Head Helm, but trust me when I say that getting that little bit of card draw can be really important in a mono red deck. But I wouldn't make any changes. The Seismic Wave there was really good against that life gain player. And yeah, the Bloodthirsty Adversary being able to bring back our removal is just fantastic. And of course, Thundering Raiju is just a freaking house. And as far as the Boros version, the ability to give everything trample with the curse, and then this Michiko's, I think this is one that probably of the two is the strongest. And I'm going to dedicate a bit more time to, as soon as I hit, you know, stop record, maybe try and take it onto the ranked ladder. But yeah, like I said, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all tomorrow with some fresh brews. And until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.